I'm Lieutenant General Mike Ferreter, and I'm the President and CEO of the National Veterans Memorial Museum. And it's a great day to be a veteran, and especially great to be here at the virtual Rally Point. Now, Rally Point was started here shortly after we opened, and it's on the first Saturday of every month. We bring veterans in. We originally did it physically, of course, and we'd feed them brunch, and frankly, we'd make sure that they're doing okay. They weren't living in their car, that they had employment, and we would see them connect with each other, and then we would see those relationships grow and get them involved in great activities. So we're now physically open, and we continue to provide virtual programs and events. I'd like to say we are really strong. We connect and support veterans, and we impact lives. Since March, we conducted several great online events. In fact, about March 13th, my team came and said, "So we're going to need to close. This pandemic's going to be really rough." And I said, well, you can close the front door, but we're not closing. So we're going to do everything digital, online, and virtual. We have so here's what we did. We had a resilience discussion with Jennifer Laredo Ballou, Army Master Sergeant retired and a Gold Star spouse. She told her inspiring story of how she has really driven on since the loss of her love of her life, Eddie. And then we had Major Retired Josh Montz. Now he's featured upstairs in our alcoves in his story. He was shot and killed in Iraq. And then they brought him back to life, and now he gives great and inspiring stories on how to navigate life's battlefield, and we did that virtually. And then we did an event with Teresa Larson from Movement RX and Dr. Doc Campbell, a Navy corpsman, and they talked about the VA, and they talked about wellness and health. And then we did one with Adam Rock, Colonel Adam Rock, formerly of the Soldier for Life, and now with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Hire Heroes Foundation. We brought into that discussion Major General Paulette Risher from Alabama, from Still Serving Veterans, and talked about how veteran hiring and employment and how we could help people in that regard. All told, amazingly, our virtual events and programs have reached 2.5 million people, and we've had more than 40 million imprints, radio, and other media impressions. So we are strong, and we are reaching out. Today's a special day because we have a great program to talk about becoming a vetrepreneur and starting your own business. And I'm with Captain Retired Josh Peyton, the founder and CEO and my friend of the Veterans Golfers Association. Josh is going to share some lessons learned on how to start your own business and just how to do that, and then how to run it. Now, I met Army Captain Josh Peyton in the summer of 2014 or so. We just discussed an even earlier contact where we were in a spinning class getting smoked by our instructor. But I had just retired. Josh is an Army Ranger and a paratrooper, and served in Iraq and at Fort Bragg with my son Dan. Josh approached me and asked if I'd be interested to getting involved in this new idea and a soon-to-be Veteran Golfers Association. So welcome all of you out there. I'm glad that you'll be able to see and hear this. And Josh, welcome to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. And these are obviously difficult times for our country, and I think things like virtual rally points are ways to bring our soldiers back together. So thank you for putting this together for all of us.
You bet. So most of my stories start there. I was minding my own business when suddenly someone walks into my life. So tell us about yourself, and tell us a little bit about the idea to start the VGA.
It's weird how our paths continue to cross through my career. You as being a 3-star general, and me as a lowly captain. I wouldn't think that our paths would have crossed as many times in the military as they had, and so it was an honor and a pleasure to serve with your son Dan as a combat infantry platoon leader in 2505 Parachute Infantry Regiment, Deployed with them in 07 and 08, and it's pretty difficult deployment that we had there, and um, got an opportunity to go back to Iraq in 2011, and was the the Kurdish regional liaison officer up in Erbil, Iraq, and just happened to be that you were traveling through country, and you ended up on my tarmac, and had to provide some security for you. And a couple of days after you left, we had Secretary of Defense Robert Gates came through, and we were providing security for him, and we were moving in up armored Suburbans at high rates of speed in the back roads of Erbil, and my driver lost control of the vehicle, and so we flipped about 15 times, and ended up sustaining a severe injury to my right hand, and they medevaced me out of the country to Longstuhl, Germany, in a matter of hours, and then from Longstuhl, I was in Walter Reed in Washington D.C. before I knew it, as an injured soldier, and trying to navigate life as a soldier that's sustained injury. And so those were some difficult times for me. I was in a ward at Walter Reed where there's several of my several people in the hall that had lost several limbs due to IEDs, and here I was with to me a pretty minor hand injury, but to the doctors it was pretty severe. And so I ended up spending about 2 years at Walter Reed going through recoveries and several surgeries to save my right hand from amputation, and got an opportunity to met an organization that was using golf as a recovery tool. And I'm a competitive person. I've always been competitive, and so I really connected with these guys and girls over the game of golf. And so that was in 2011. 2013, I got an opportunity to play for the Wounded Warrior Ryder Cup team, which was an incredible experience. They took 12 combat wounded vets from the United States, and then we went over to Royal Lytham St. Anne's in England and played against 12 of their combat wounded vets, and got our butts kicked pretty good, sir. I played my singles match against a one-armed guy, and he beat me up and down the golf course. But what I pulled away from that was it was just an incredibly eye-opening experience. It was just I just really loved being a part of a team, and representing the United States of America, and more than anything, I love competing on a larger scale. And so after that tournament, we were coming back to the United States, and that's where the idea for the Veteran Golfers Association came from. So,
well, that's so what I read, which I've known for such a long time, is you discovered your passion. And
right.
and for all of us to ever be able to pursue our passion is just the most amazing thing in the world. Now, pursuing your passion and making it work are two different things.
Right.
So, tell our viewers, how you came up with the plan. What were the first 3 steps that you thought you might need to do?
Well, I think with everything, there's when you're passionate about something, you have an idea that you want to execute. It doesn't come without risk, right, sir? So for me, I was coming up on retirement, and I was fortunate enough to had served under some great leaders like yourself, and I felt really confident going through that transition into the next phase of my life. And so I had an idea I think the risk was kind of mitigated in a sense because I had a pension. I'd served 20 years. You know, I knew I didn't have to worry about health care for my family. Um, and I also had a nest egg from deployment money that I had saved. And so, you know, I took the majority of that nest egg and put it into the Veteran Golfers Association to get it off the ground. But you know, if I hadn't had a pension to draw back on, if I didn't have health care, then I might have had to go somewhere else where, you know, I could have taken care of my family, maybe at a corporate level where, you know, a guaranteed paycheck was there waiting for me. And so I would say, you know, from the veteran standpoint, especially if you do your 20 years and you retire, or if you medically retire and you've got that cushion of where you are going to get a guaranteed paycheck every week, you do have health care, then I think you can mitigate that risk a little bit before you take that leap of faith to becoming a vetrepreneur. So I think that's one aspect. But the three things, you know, there's a motto at West Point: duty, honor, country, and I try to apply that to the Veteran Golfers Association, where the duty side is, you know, you have an obligation, a duty to the VGA members, the members themselves. And so, but on a broad level, as an entrepreneur, as a vetrepreneur, you have a duty to your customer, first and foremost, because if your customers aren't satisfied, then you're not going to get any more customers, right? I think with the museum, if people come to your museum and they're not impressed by it, you're not gonna have a second and third repeat customer. And so the first part of that is a duty to make sure that we're providing the highest level product to our members, and we're trying to keep them satisfied. And then the honor piece, I think you have to do, no matter if you're in the military, you're in the civilian sector or not. The honor piece is you have to do everything with integrity. If you're not doing something with integrity, then whether or not it's building a product or whether or not it's delivering a service, then your customers aren't going to come back. You know, if you say that you're going to have a house built in 3 months and it takes you 8 months to do it, well, you know, your name is really at stake there. And so you do that too many times, people aren't gonna purchase homes from you. And then the other thing is country. So the third thing there being country, and that's doing something, in my opinion, doing something bigger than yourself. And if you're selfless in your actions, I think that it always comes back to you tenfold. So those are the three tips that I would give to the aspiring vetrepreneur, sir.
That's great. Have you written an op order since you started the VGA to get anything done?
Well, I think like even when we first started it, you know Joan Tishman well, and she's kind of like my work wife, and she's my right hand, and she's everything VGA, and so when we first started the organization, it was Joan and I running, you know, as many golf tournaments as we did and as we could, and so. Now we have over 350 golf tournaments a year. And so what we had to do very short on in the organization, as it grew from 300 members to 1,500 members to now over 8,000 members, we had to basically give the VGA military structure. We had to give it a hierarchy. So we just reached out. We basically made, you know, a call of action where said, you know, if you would like to volunteer to be a leader within this organization, we could use you as a regional director or a state director that could help us bring more golf tournaments to our members. And they answered that call. So the one thing is that we went from zero structure to a lot of structure really fast, and we modeled that off the military because, ironically, as much as some of us didn't like that while we were in, it actually works the best. So it's been incredible watching the growth of the organization and the team being built in real time.
Yeah, it's impressive indeed, and it's a great example of people who have circled around a big idea, and then they innovate and create and inform, and then that spreads from one state to the other, best practices as I've been watching you all this time.
Right.
I'm going to take a just quick moment to tell everyone you're watching Virtual Rally Point. I'm Lieutenant General Mike Farrader, and I'm with Captain Retired Josh Peyton, the President and CEO of the Veteran Golfers Association, and you're coming from the National Veterans Memorial and Museum right here in Columbus, Ohio. If you're out there and you're a vetrepreneur, and then we are starting an online vetrepreneur store, and we want to help you get the word out on your product. And so contact me, contact the National Veterans Memorial Museum, and then in the next couple months is when we see that we'll be opening that up. We also have a store in the museum, and we'd love to have your stuff in there. So tell me a little bit about. So behind me is a little red flag, and it says reject their rejection. So as a vetrepreneur and a startup, which the NVMM here is a startup, and we are very entrepreneurial and vetrepreneural, but you got to get really good at rejecting rejection. So talk about some of the failures or some of the roadblocks people put in front of Josh Peyton, and what your attitude was, and how you overcame it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, having an idea of how you're going to make money is a big deal, because if you just have an idea of and you don't know how you're going to create the cash flow for that idea, then you're in big trouble, sir. And so I think at the beginning we had created we had applied for a grant with the Veteran Affairs Adaptive Sports Grant.
I remember.
And in my head, I'm like, we meet all the criteria. There's no way we're going to get denied for this grant, and that's just me being a ultra positive, Army Ranger mentality. There's nothing's going to stop me from going over this hill. And when we got the letter back, the rejection letter back from the VA, that was tough, because how are we going to pay for these programs? And so what I would say is that on the entrepreneurial side is something called pivoting, right? And so when you have a rejection, or when there is a need to pivot, you need to do it quickly. And you talked about an op order. When you need to pivot, what do we call it? A frago. So you need that frago right in your hip pocket, because for us, the frago was, well, maybe VGA members will pay a membership fee, and if the government's not going to give us money to support the veterans, maybe the veteran community wants to support themselves, and they will recognize that there's a need for this, and they overwhelmingly have. We keep our prices low. We try to keep them as fair as possible, but we at least have to have enough cash flow to sustain the organization, and that's what we've done. So I would say, how you pivot in the face of rejection is critical to your future success, sir.
Yeah, that's great. It is very true, and in fact, I've observed, seen, and watched and admired the manner in which, a lot of glancing blows on Josh Peyton, no full body slam. So keep your feet light and on the move. Josh, talk to us about any thoughts you have on venture capital or taking on someone else's money, and there's some real sharks out there, evil folks.
Yeah.
And there's some real good ones. So,
Sir, I've had friends that have taken on venture capital, out in Silicon Valley, and I'm just not a big proponent of giving away a large percentage of your company in order to accelerate growth. I think that, like the VGA, we didn't have to do that. We didn't have to take on capital, and obviously we're a nonprofit, but we run our nonprofit very much like a business. We didn't have to take capital from the VA in order to get started. We could still start with your idea and test that idea and grow it to a point where you can still have an incredible amount of success without giving away the entire ship. So I would say if the idea is supported by a customer base, then there's really no need to bring on outside capital other than loans, right? I think taking on debt is one thing versus giving away percentages of your company. I think all organizations and companies have a certain amount of what I call good debt, because it's allowing your company or organization to build and maintain credit ratings, to borrow money when necessary, but still give you cash flow when you need it. That's different than giving away pieces of your company where ultimately your profit will be affected in the future.
Great point. If someone wants to join the VGA today, tell them where to go.
Well, most people out there don't know that well, our mission is to enrich the lives of veterans and their family members through the sportsmanship and camaraderie of golf. And so, family members are just as eligible to be a part of the VGA as veterans and active duty military members. So you can follow us online on social side at VGA Golf on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And if you'd like to join as a VGA member, just go to vgagolf.org, and we'd love for you to join our VGA family. We do competitive golf for veterans and their family members, and that's all we do. So we have about 400 golf tournaments. We have 48 states covered across the United States, and we'd love for you to get out there on the golf course and meet some new brothers and sisters.
That's right. And then if someone is a veteran and they want to be a donor, who do they contact, or where do they go?
They can send an email to info@VGA Golfster. They can check out our website as well. We've got some, big supporters like AT&T and your friends at Topgolf and Dell Computers, and the list is endless. And we're just so thankful for all of our partner support, because without that support, we wouldn't be able to provide the level of programs that we're doing for the VGA members. And so we just really appreciate, all of our sponsors and partner support.
That's great. Where in Ohio do you have a chapter?
So Brandon Johnson is the state director in Ohio. And Brandon Johnson, he's the two-time VGA national champion, Air Force Academy hockey player. Mm-hmm. So I believe wherever the Air Force base is in Ohio, that's where Brandon is stationed out of. And so,
right, Patterson.
Yes, sir. That's right. Okay. He's a great guy, and he tries to get a bunch of golf tournaments there in Ohio. But I know you're trying to work on a bigger one for us with Mr. Nicholas. So hopefully we can have that in the pipeline in the next few years. That would be great.
I think we will. I predict success on that.
Yes, sir. If you're involved with it, I would predict success.
One thing I want to make a point that part partnership is the highest form of leadership. Who said that? Mike Fair. So partnership for everyone out there, it's the highest form of leadership. We play with our cards facing out. So I show my cards to Josh, he shows his. Hey, I need a king, you need a queen. Everyone's going to win. The reason that I bring up be a member of the VGA and donate to the VGA is because we, the NDMM, exists to honor, connect, inspire, and educate, and to impact lives. And so I get credit for indirectly impacting lives when Josh impacts lives. And that's the big idea about all this. Now here's a crazy series of questions, of course. So you play 400 or so tournaments, and that results in what?
So ultimately, so on a theoretical level, sir, what we are hoping that it's building a spider web of relationships, and that's at the lowest level, at the state level. What are they playing for? Ultimately, they're playing for points. We have a point system. We have a handicap system. We have a playoff system. So those points help them get into a state championship, and how they do it, the state championship will propel them to a regional championship at one of our 4 regions, and then from the regional championship, we take 20 players to our national championship each year. But that entire the entire litany of those events leads, in my opinion, to a brotherhood that ultimately, I hope, helps combat veteran suicide. And if we're able to impact just one life through the VGA, then everything, all the sacrifices is worth it. And all the hard work of our volunteers is worth it for this organization. And so, I'm proud to say that over the last 6 years, the VGA and over 8,000 members strong, we've lost 0 veterans to suicide in the last 6 years. And I think that's really a testament to the volunteer leaders and the other VGA members that are wrapping their arms around their brothers and sisters, which is pretty incredible to see, sir.
Exactly. Perfect answer. Yeah, I noticed that as I hooked up with you, and people, when we would be at a tournament, or the veterans would come up from all eras, from Vietnam, from the Cold War, from Desert Storm, Desert Shield, and post 9/11, and they would say, hey General, thanks for doing this. And I said, I just wear the red jacket over here and play golf with you guys and support Josh. It's Josh and his team and the team of teams. And then they say over and over again, I've heard this, hey, I was ready to kill myself. It was over. And then I stumbled into this. You saved my life. Yeah. And so if you're out there and you need to connect, this is too easy. It's the best ever. It's the craziest game, and you don't have to be good at it. You just have to want to meet people and grow. And all veterans have something in common. They circled around a big idea. They put themselves out there, and then they were willing to learn. And they went to basic training, or also basic course, and then they went to NCO training, or they went to marksmanship training, or they went to drive a boat training, or fly a plane training. And so you can do it. And so go to Josh's website or Facebook or Google the local chapter and get involved. It will be a big difference. I really love the idea of the national championship, because there people would ask the question, who thought of doing this for us? And this is the case for all of us to get involved and do something for someone. We at the National Veterans Memorial Museum have a membership program also, a corporate membership program as well. So if you're a veteran and you're in a veteran resource group or veteran employers resource group, get the word to the people above you to become corporate members. We don't get any federal funds either, and so it's all a matter of relationships, and it's a matter of creating programming such as this so we can impact more lives. You can be an individual member as well. We're going to, I'll pause on that, Bill, do that. Okay, so Josh, as we get ready to wrap, we've talked about the thought of taking that step out of combat, fully combat equipped, out an open door into the dark of night, and taking a chance to be a vetrepreneur. And we've talked about the journey that you've had in your life, and we've talked about the impact that you're making. What else would you like to say to this audience with regard to the VGA, or with regard to vetrepreneurs, or just with regard to life?
Well, I think no matter what you do in life, sir, it doesn't come without hard work. From the one thing that I'm really thankful for is having leaders like you that allow you to go out and make mistakes, but are expecting you to do the right thing when no one's looking. No matter if you start your own business, no one's going to tell you to get up at a certain time and to work, 20 hours a day in order to make your business or your venture successful. But you have to have that internal motivation to make sure that you're doing everything you can to be successful, or you just won't be. And so that is the fire, the Ranger spirit that you need to have in order to get your idea or your business to the next level. And if you don't have that, then I would strongly advise against going out on your own. If you're not motivated, if you're not a self-motivator or self-starter, then you may have issues, and that's why I love the Ranger motto, "Sua sponte." If you're going to do it right, and do it right the first time, right, sir?
That's correct. Well, everybody, thank you for joining the virtual rally point here at the National Veterans Memorial Museum. Josh, thanks for being with us today, and thanks for all that you do every single day, and the great team, the behind-the-scenes players that prop people like us up, anticipate what's coming next, and find the yes that's out there. You're making a big difference in people's lives, and I'm really, really proud of you, Josh Peyton. And before we sign off, I'm going to pass to Colonel Bill Butler. Before I do that, I'll let Josh say one last thing, and then Bill will tell you about what's coming in the near future for the NVMM. Josh, any final comment?
Yes, sir. I just want to say thank you so much for having us. It was an honor for Rachel and I to attend the grand opening of the National Veteran Memorial Museum. And I do want to take a moment to thank all of our volunteer leaders from the VGA, from all the way the 4 regional directors to all the state directors and assistant state directors that help keep this organization running. We wouldn't be able to do it without them. So thank you guys very much, and keep driving on. And sir, I hope we get to tee it up soon.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Colonel Retired Bill Butler, and I'm the Chief of Staff here at the National Veterans Memorial and Museum. Josh, thanks for sharing those great lessons learned on vetrepreneurs and how to start a small business. That's great. And thanks, more importantly, thanks for your service, your continued service helping and supporting our veterans. It's just great. So this concludes our August rally point. But we've got some upcoming events that I do want to share and invite everybody to participate in. This Monday, August 3rd, from 10 to 4, we host a Red Cross blood drive here at the museum. So consider joining, help save a life, and donate blood. So just for everybody's awareness, our nation is critically short of blood supply given the pandemic. So if you're not able to come to the museum on Monday, and you're from out of state or out of the city, look at your local Red Cross and see where you can save a life and donate blood. Next month, on Wednesday, September 2nd, it's the 75th anniversary of Victory in Japan Day and the end of World War II, and would like to invite everybody to join us as we recognize the greatest generation and celebrate such an important moment in our history. And then Saturday, September 5th is our next virtual rally point. We'll keep everyone informed of the guest speaker and the topic once we get that finalized, so keep an eye out for that. And then Monday, September 7th is the last day to see Bob Hope So Ready for Laughter. So that's a exhibit on loan from the National World War II Museum. It's the first time they've let it out outside of New Orleans and their museum, and it's going to go back down to New Orleans. So come see it before it goes away. And then our next exhibit after that opens to the public on September 18th, and that features watercolor portraits by the artist Mary White. And it's her We the People Portraits of Veterans in America. So she's got 50 paintings representative of a veteran from each of the 50 states and from all eras of service. So come see that. It's going to be a great exhibit for everybody to see. And then just as a reminder, the National Veterans Memorial Museum is a nonprofit. We don't receive any funding from federal, state, or local governments. All of our operating costs, our program support comes from the generosity of members, donors, and corporate sponsors. So if able, please consider becoming a member, whether an individual or family member or a corporate member. Help us provide great programs to support our veterans. We also want to take a moment to thank one of our proud corporate members, Lane Aviation, whose support as a member since 2019 has helped us bring great programs like Rally Point to you. You can learn more about becoming a member online at nationalvmm.org. Everybody have a safe weekend, and thanks for joining us.